Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go.
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics, go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Hey, it's August 29th. Summer is winding down. We're in the last throes of the summer. The heat, this was a nice, pleasant August. We only had maybe 4 days that was 90 degrees.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
I mean, it's been great because then the evenings have been nice and cool. We're not getting that much humidity.
God's way is protecting us from high electricity bills from state of Maryland.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing. Are you seeing something like that? Or are you just seeing the complaints about that? I mean, I'm on Nextdoor,
Yeah.
and it's there are so many threads about really high electricity prices, bills from
Mhm.
Pepco, and I don't know where that's all coming from.
I don't know, but I'm not. I mean, have I seen my bill jump? Yes, but I've also got really good insulation in the house. I've got the best windows, frankly, out there. Uh, and I think, and I maintain my AC. I do have it serviced twice a year, and I think that's part of the reason why bill has not spiked. Like, if you've got an older AC unit, say like something that's like 20 years old, and something that needs to be 20-year-old unit, or if you have one of those older houses where you just have the storm windows opposed to the modern windows, because the new windows, some of them have the little film in it, blocks out UV rays. They've also got the argon gas, which also keeps the windows cooler and so on. And if you got one of the older homes where the heat just comes straight through, like plate glass, storm windows, I think they used plate glass, and they're probably the ones that are seeing the spikes in electric. Then again, they also lose a lot of heat in the wintertime too, those houses.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to tell when you read these stories because they're just basically complaining about the bill, but it's without seeing like the specifics of the bill. What are you being charged per kilowatt hour, and are
Mhm.
you really using Pepco as your provider? Pepco will always be the biller. They'll always provide
Yeah.
the bill, but it's been we used to get deluged with other energy companies that would come in and sell you the electricity cheaper for a few
Yep.
months.
Hmm.
But what people don't realize is that they weren't under the same restrictions as Pepco was in terms of what they could charge you after that initial period. So they would their rates would go way up, while
Yeah.
Pepco wound up being the cheaper supplier. But people
I
didn't.
never did the switch because one, it seemed too more of a hassle. And those people that knocked on my door irritated me, frankly.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, even if electric, the prices of electricity have gone up, which is, I mean, there's been more demand because of, AI data centers and all of these kinds of things in the area. I think, I've had solar for what, probably about, 10 years, and that gives me fixed price on the solar for 20-year period. So I think that's actually really starting to benefit me even more now. It's just that I've been paying a flat fee, and will continue to pay a flat fee for the next 10 years, and so I'll be insulated against other increases up at that point in time.
And it's I toy around with solar, but I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. It just seems like it'd be too much of a hassle, Then again, my roof is fairly new. It's only, I think it's less than 5 years old. So it's like, yeah, maybe we should do it. But I have a feeling when you have to replace the roof, the costs, the roofer is probably going to charge you more because he has to take the solar panels down.
Well, the roofer doesn't. The roofer generally will not touch unless you own the solar panels.
Yeah.
The roofer probably won't charge you. So, I went the easy way, but which cost a little more money, which is that when Solar City, before Tesla, brought it back into the fold, is that this was a 20-year lease with a $1 payment at the end. So when we had our roof replaced about 7 years ago or so, the had to call up, Solar City / Tesla. They came out and took all the panels off, and then the roofers went ahead and did their thing, and then they came back and put them back on, and then reconnected everything, and all that stuff, because the roofer doesn't know diddly squat really about solar panels. You've got to know what you're doing for that. So it's usually going to be something where it's not the roofer. It's, if you've only got a roof that's a few years old, and it's probably going to last you another 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, you get like 30 years out of a roof, though. I mean, they say 15, 20, but you get 30.
Yeah. I think it depends upon where you live. It's like if you're getting if you're in a storm area where you're getting hail or something like that, that'll do more damage to a roof faster.
Yeah, knock on wood, we have not had much hail at all.
Yeah. So,
Also, but today also marks 20 years since Katrina.
Yeah, can you believe that? I mean, it's just
and they're still in. What's funny? Ian wrote an article about Katrina 20 years later. What I thought was the most telling was the fact, where are they now? Kathleen Blanco, she passed away in 2019. Ray Nagans, he was convicted in 20 of 21 corruption charges in 2014, and he's serving time in federal prison for bribery, wire fraud, and tax evasion. Aaron Broussard was, I think he was St. Bernard Parish president there. He's the one, if you recall, he went on to meet the press and started crying about some woman that died. And then the following week, he was back on talking about, and then Tim Russert called him out on it. He goes, well, Tim, a lot of people died. I just got confused, And he's also convicted. He served prison time for corruption involving pay-to-play schemes. That was the one story that really was underreported during Katrina. You have all the levy funds for upkeep and so on, and all that money was spent on memorials and stuff like that. They're like building stuff outside, for the levees and stuff like that. Build stuff that instead of saving the money for levy upkeep, they were building little memorials to themselves, so to speak. But 20 years later, heck of a job. It got news, President Bush and Brownie handled this much better than Joe Biden did with that hurricane last year. And the other side of this, Don, I don't know if you remember, right after Katrina, every climatologist, we're going to see 4 or 5 Katrina style storms every year. Whoops, every year after that. And you know something, hurricane season has been relatively calm since there. Yeah, we had that hurricane that went through Houston that caused a lot of flooding when Geraldo Rivera was filming somebody off a bridge that was being sucked away or pulled away.
Katrina? Was that Katrina?
No, this was after Katrina. This is and I've got a friend of mine who is in Houston. I go, and I actually wrote a commentary, Tale of Two Hurricane Cities. The way Houston reacted and the way New Orleans reacted during Katrina, and this was maybe about 5-6 years later. It was not a Cat 5 like Katrina was, and Katrina got her name retired too. I'm assuming somewhere at NOAA there's like a banner hanging where they retired the name Katrina, along with Hurricane David and Hurricane Andrew.
Is there a Hurricane Dwight?
There has not been a Hurricane Dwight in recent memory, but Hurricane David has been retired. That was the first hurricane I kind of really remember the details of what happened and stuff like that.
Well,
actually, that's not true. I kind of remember like we had another hurricane before that. It was just we got rain, but Hurricane David was the first one that was probably going to do a full impact on us.
Well, the worst one in our lifetimes, and I guess we were born then. We were just little toddlers if we were around. Hurricane Agnes would have been the worst probably in this area.
And we also had Hurricane Isabel, that knocked out power for a good 2 weeks for a lot of people.
Well, that was
Hurricane
a lot
Isabel
of damage
was
for Hurricane Agnes. And not to digress, but what made me think of Hurricane Agnes as well is that in the eastern shore of Maryland, you have some of the old lighthouses and stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of that was damaged greatly by, they say, Agnes.
And also Port Deposit, Maryland, and the Conoego Dam. There was a contingency plan of blowing up the dam because there was so much water that was flowing through there. And if they blew it up, Port Deposit would have been underwater. And Maryland Public Television did a great documentary on Hurricane Agnes back when Larry Hogan was governor, and MPT was more honest, or not as corrupt as they normally would be. Did a decent job on that. But I mean, 20 years later, President Bush didn't say, hey, you see anybody with Democrat signs or end the war signs, don't go to their house. While Joe Biden did that with the hurricane last fall. Don't knock on doors with Trump signs or American flags. I mean, who does that?
Wasn't that person fired? Didn't that person get fired?
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that they were doing that, that means they've done it before too. This is the first time they got caught. That's all that is.
Yeah, but back to your earlier point too, there's just that, these things come in cycles. You can't. Sometimes they get it. Yeah. They're fairly on target with the number of hurricanes in a hurricane season and the just kind of the intensity. Other times they're off. But all these, every time you get to the hurricane season, you get one bad one. All of a sudden, everybody goes, okay, see, this is climate change, and this is the problem, and we're just going to see more and more and more of these. And a lot of times, it's kind of the one-off for the year, right? I mean, you don't necessarily, we're not necessarily getting battered by 4s and 5s all the time.
No, and the hurricane we had a couple years ago. Hold on, let me get my notes up. Hold on. Oops, wrong page. Let's go back here. But as I was saying, is like the one we had in Florida, and because that was the one I went through, the first one, so to speak, and it was bad. Okay, it rained a lot. Okay, and my running paths got flooded, but I mean that was about the worst of it. But if you look at if you look at studies from Energy Now, we're seeing the intensity has not been anywhere near I mean, Superstorm Sandy was not even a Cat 5 hurricane. It was a tropical storm. And the fact that these alarmists, I mean, is the grift over for the climate change? I think now the fact that, knock on wood, we're in August and we have not had a major hurricane at all this season. It's, I mean, every year they say this is going to be the worst hurricane season, every year, and every year's been not nearly as bad, because remember we had Katrina and then we had I want to say, was it Wilma, or what was the other there was another hurricane that hit the Houston area that same year. It wasn't a Cat 5, but I think it was still like a major hurricane. I'm trying to think of the name of that one. But yeah, there's and here, let me share something with you guys. And this is all from Energy Now, their data points. But we have an article that, hey, you guys get a preview. We've got this article will be live on the Montgomery County Republican Club website tomorrow morning. Here we have it. This is the graph. And that's basically, we're in a lull right now, frankly. And we're still burning fossil fuels. And it's, well-sourced article. It'll be live tomorrow. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're here at the end of August, so we've really got about 3 more months of hurricane season.
Yeah, September and October, then November.
Yeah, but it's been pretty quiet, right?
Yeah. And I mean, and as I was saying, I wrote an article about the major hurricane that hit Houston a few years ago, and comparing that to Katrina, the reaction of the Texans was very different than the Cajuns in New Orleans, frankly. One reporting that stuck out in my head, Don, I don't know if you remember that, was they had this kid, NBC Evening News. I think it was Tom Brokaw was still doing the evening news back then, maybe. Or it was Stone Phillips, one or the other. But they had this one woman, and remember Hurricane Katrina hit on Sunday, I think is when it came through. And they were urging people to go to shelter. There was this one woman on NBC News. She goes, I haven't eaten in a week. I mean, yeah, but the hurricane you didn't have to start preparing for the hurricane until about Wednesday or Thursday. So what was wrong on Monday and Tuesday? You couldn't eat. And basically NBC and all the media folks there, by the way, remember when they all promised to have establish media bureaus in New Orleans after Katrina, and how you had all the Hollywood folks coming in and buying houses and fixing them up, moving into in New Orleans, in that area. It's just funny how the climate change grift goes,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, New Orleans they did a great job of rebuilding and coming back and everything like that, but it doesn't mean the problems are gone, because I think there's still misspent money, and there's areas that are still, vulnerable to future storms.
Yep. Well, in the corruption, and I guess the poor leadership came forward. But I don't know, and I'm not saying they should have totally rebuilt, but I don't think did they totally rebuild? Because if you look at the population, I think it's declined. I don't know that it's come back.
No, I don't think it has either. I don't.
No.
Yeah, the population has not really, because, I mean, you just had swaths of neighborhoods that were wiped out. I mean, they were not, they were low lying, homes basically, and they were overwhelmed, and the homeowners there had no insurance. They couldn't afford to rebuild, and so the buildings just kind of rot away at this point. And
and you have to wonder, not to interrupt, but you have to wonder, would it be really that wise to rebuild there especially when you're below sea level?
Well, people build on the beaches right after hurricanes, have beautiful homes on the beach. You got those Ocean City, we're blessed but you got all those high rises right on the water right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we just had that storm. What was it? And that headed, that kind of battered North Carolina, and
Yep.
you see the homes along the beachfront, and like, you in this day and age, you build a home close to the water, uh, you know, be ready to potentially lose it in a
And
storm.
paying a premium on homeowners insurance too.
Yeah, and that's
That is-
that's one of the things that Florida faces, right? Too. It's
Yeah.
just that
That's why
because they've been battered so many times, is that homeowners insurance is extremely expensive.
I am 10 miles away from the beach. Yeah, about 10 miles. Yeah. I can't see the water. Only water I see is the what do you call it, the ponds they built in the neighborhoods from my.
Yeah, I mean, I know, our nature, particularly here in America, is that we love to have views, whether or not it's the water or you build on a mountain or whatever. But we've seen what happens in California with when the weather turns
Mudslides.
bad, they get mudslides,
Fires, riots.
fires, the wildfires, and I'm like, well, okay, I think it's tragic when you lose your home. It's tragic when people lose their life, but they
Mhm.
a lot of people wind up building in places that are relatively remote, where they're further away from services of, where's the nearest fire hydrant, or, where's the nearest fire department or emergency services. All these things that, really you should be thinking about. You probably want to be a little bit closer to that. And there's a trade-off. I mean, when you build like that, live like that, you wind up going in a higher risk area. Yeah, you're going to wind up paying more in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and basically, I think it's a good exit point. I think is the fact that if you live like I've got a g- emergency generator, I've got supplies of water because I know I could be flooded at some point. I could lose power. Although here I got a generator, haven't had any use to use it, have not lost power since the generator's put in.
It's
But
good peace of mind. It's like having,
it is.
health insurance. You would
Yeah.
rather not have to use it at all, but it's nice.
Yeah, the show
Nice to
goes
have.
on even if we lose power.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing will
So
take down Dr. Politics.
nothing exactly. And also, Don, did you see Maryland test scores? They jumped up one whole percentage points, and the Maryland teachers are basically patting themselves on the back for going from where were they? They went from I think 49 to 51. And they're touting 51% of our kids are proficient. Now, what do you think when I say proficient? Do you think excellence? Do you think like future Rhodes scholars? And it's mediocrity. That means 49% of the kids are not even proficient. And I would love to see who scored in the 80 plus percentiles of that 51%. And I'm willing to bet it's a much smaller number.
Yeah, I mean, you had that article on the club website
Yep.
about school choice.
Yes.
Everything. So, I went to look at that study a little bit, and it was interesting. I mean, 59%, as was quoting the article, of overall the parents surveyed,
Mhm.
they wanted school choice. Now, when it was broken down by party, 71% Republican. But what surprised me was 43% of the Democrats were actually in favor of school choice. I thought that was remarkably high, considering how joined to the hip they are with teachers
Yeah.
unions.
I mean,
Right.
our governor is a product of charter schools. Zoran Mamdani went to Bronx Science, which is not a charter school, but it's a public school. But if you can't get into Bronx Science, at least you have a shot at going to a really good charter school like one of our young folk writers, Jacob Silver, who went to a STEM school in Manhattan. And it's, I think it's a good thing, frankly. Charter schools, school choice in general, because Montgomery County used to have some of the best schools in the state, of Maryland. Actually, some of the best schools in the Mid-Atlantic now are just humdrum, mediocre schools.
Well, Fairfax
Bad.
County is the same way. Fairfax County is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like over at Montgomery Blair High School, the math science magnet. It turns 40 this year, Don. The math science magnet turns 40 years old. And what does MCPS want to do in the county council? They want to kill the math science program at Blair. Why? Because there's too many Asians in it. That is the story. They're not saying it, but they're saying, well, you have 200. It was like 100 Asians, 80 some white kids, 2 Hispanics, and 1 black. I mean, it's on merit. It's either you pass the test or you don't pass the test. It tests critical thinking. It's not a way, it's not a something to keep kids out of. It's if you're the best, you get to go. And I think we should be striving for excellence. I mean, we just had, I just put this article up on my personal site, dwightpatel.com. It's about the Artemis program, about going back to the moon and then going to Mars. We'll never get there with mediocrity being hailed it as a great thing. I mean, John F. Kennedy said we need to improve math and science in American schools. Today, if John Kennedy would say they would basically tell him, you're a racist or something like that. If we want to go back to the moon. And furthermore, I mean, the other thing that happened this week, Don, was the next generation of Acela trains got started, and they did their inaugural run yesterday. But this train, I think the top speed is 160 miles an hour is the top speed they have for it. And it's a really impressive piece of engineering. And
yeah, but the problem is that while the train can go that fast, it cannot go that fast on our tracks.
Yes, but here's the thing: they're trying to sell that to other areas. Like I think the manufacturer also wants to sell these to Brightline, where they have the trains like in Florida where they have a straight shot newer tracks where you can go 130 miles an hour on that speed. But I mean, 160, I should say. But still, I mean, getting from here to New York much faster on a Acela, I think it's great. I saw some of the videos. I'm planning to take a little jaunt up there in the next couple of weeks, just to give it a test drive, so to speak. But everything I've been reading about, they've got very comfortable seating. They've got it's better than flying, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I love the train, and I think the Acela is great, and upgrading the cars, to this new thing, I think is wonderful. But it's never going to achieve its true potential unless we have the tracks in place. I mean, the Amtrak is sharing those tracks with
CSX, yeah.
So as a result of that, there's areas where they just have to slow way down.
Philadelphia.
Whereas the vision really is that you go at a fairly good speed from station to station, right? And then you get up to New York or you get up to Boston. There was a story about how they've timed this out with the new Acela, and it's actually right now running slower than the old Acela at this point.
Yes.
So this is an unfortunate problem. If you get on a bullet train in Japan, and it's pretty darn good.
You're in Kyoto in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I guess, from Tokyo to Kyoto.
I mean, it's pretty good, and you can choose your class of service, which is nice. I mean, it's nice.
Even in Europe, Don, I mean, when you take European rail, which they've got the French version of the bullet train, then you can take high speed rail from around on the continent, and you go a decent clip, frankly, on there. And I think that's one of the, I mean, granted, we're a car-based society. We're not a train-based society like Europeans are. But I am a fan of trains. I've always been a fan of trains. I always loved the Lionel O gauge model railroading. And it's just, it's a shame, but these engineering marvels like the new Acela and the mission to the moon and beyond, I should say, Mars, then beyond. It's not going to happen with mediocrity, having kids just be functional. We need kids that will be excelling in the math and sciences to actually make that happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, but it's nice to ride a train where you're not subject to a lot of the clickety clack. It's just much smoother ride too.
And the seats are much more comfortable than flying to even when I fly business class to Florida, if I'm not flying Southwest, which now it's more and more like I don't want to use Southwest because why don't I just go on Delta then? I mean, honestly, I've not been able to time to try Breeze, but I think somewhere in November I will be able to do the Breeze to Vero Beach and then drive up from there, opposed to driving down.
I mean,
from Orlando.
Breeze. I mean, we take it to Utah now because it brings us closer to where my brother-in-law lives.
Mm-hmm.
And a direct flight from Dulles to Provo, which is great. Provo's a small little airport, but it's 15 minutes away from his house versus 45 minutes in Salt Lake, and we can pay the same price or thereabouts, maybe a little bit less, for flying in essence business class, first class on Breeze for what they have there,
Mm-hmm.
as we would for just the coach ticket on Southwest. So it's nice. Plus, the you get, when you're doing that, you get free streaming, right, or free Wi-Fi, and I've tested that out. It actually can hold. I can actually stream Netflix.
That's really good.
Yeah, so they're doing good, because a lot of airplane Wi-Fi, even when you pay for it, sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Southwest Wi-Fi sucked.
Yeah.
Actually, so did Continental. Actually, I've done it on Continental too. It sucks.
So, yeah. So there's a lot of things along that way. Should we move on, Dwight, to something else?
Yes, we should. Let's talk about the tragedy in Minneapolis yesterday a little bit, Don. Are you amazed by these tweets? Let me share my screen. They're from Little Peppermint Patty.
Yeah.
And it's basically hold on one second. Share screen. It's Little Peppermint Patty. She says, prayer is not freaking enough. Prayer does not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to schools. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. And then, not to be outdone, Mayor Jacob Fry of Minneapolis, I like to call him Mini Walls, Mini Timmy. All our kids should be able to go to school or church or anywhere without the fear of gun violence. You know what the murder rate in Minneapolis is? And don't just say we need thoughts and prayer. These kids were literally in church and church praying. I see these as cheap shots, frankly. If this was, and you notice nobody's talking about how it was a transgender person that was doing this.
Well, yeah. Well, part of that too, though, was just that it's like, don't judge the transgender community.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff on that, right? I mean, they're kind of like, okay, now that it's a transgender.
Yeah, if it was a MAGA, if the guy was wearing a Trump hat, it would have been all those violent MAGA people. I mean, Rosie O'Donnell even said it was a MAGA person. Rosie O'Donnell, you're in Ireland. Go enjoy your Guinness and just don't worry about American politics. Seriously, Rosie.
And this, the perpetrator, I mean, was just sick. I mean, fantasized about killing children. This is crazy.
I mean, this is the second or third transgender person that has carried out a mass shooting.
Yeah,
Why
Yeah,
are we not allowed to talk about that? Oh, you can't, yes, but yet if this was a Republican, I remember when Gabby Giffords got shot. They were blaming Sarah Palin. He had little targets on Gabby Giffords or the guy. Remember the movie?
Clinton blamed Rush Limbaugh for the Waco disaster.
No, not Waco. Oklahoma City.
Oh, Oklahoma City.
Waco was a successful mission by
That was Jan Reno. That's right.
Yeah, that was like Clinton. Look, I restored order on that ranch by killing a bunch of kids.
But remember, it's not a manifesto; it's a themifesto.
Okay, yeah, it's a manifesto, Dave.
I know.
And this guy had a manifesto.
Yeah,
and as I think Don, you and I know a person that had his own manifesto that he was sending around. We know that they're all nutcase screwballs that put out manifestos. I mean, the Unabomber had a manifesto.
Yeah.
But the reaction like Jen Psaki and things like that to say talk about prayer and say that and let's try to just kind of like this attack on Christians. Was that's just so uncalled for. And I think Elizabeth Warren had issued a tweet to the effect of once again tying this to gun violence. Every time this happens, it's an opportunity for them to talk about. They want to talk about gun control. A lot of times they don't really talk about the tragedy and express their remorse and their sadness about what happened, but they use it immediately to go after guns and say we need more gun control.
And staying in the great state of Minnesota, even despite Timmy Waltz and all the bad people, I still think of it as the home of Rudy Boschwitz and David Durenberger. The Democrats had their summer meeting in Minnesota this week. I think it just ended yesterday, was it? Or it was the day before it ended? But they basically are fighting amongst themselves now. They're in disarray. It's kind of like that episode of Star Trek Voyager where this in season 1 and 2, the big bads were the Kazons that were like Klingons if you order them on wish.com. And this guy goes, if we take out all of the leadership, there'll be the sects will all be in disarray for years. And that's basically the Democrat Party right now. You got they're blaming. How about you go back to basics as James Carville? Who would have thought James Carville, the voice of reason amongst crazy loony Democrats?
I don't know. He's pretty loony too.
Yeah,
I know, but he's the voice of reason, though, Dave. Compared to the rest of the party, he's actually him. Who's that Democrat on the 5? I keep forgetting his name. Cory Booker, Harold Ford. Harold Ford doesn't even sound like a Democrat anymore.
The most reasonable one is Mark Penn, but I don't know if Mark Penn is still down.
Yeah, Harold Ford has been bucking the tide a lot of times for many, many, many years. So it's not surprising to see him like that at all. But yeah, the Democrats have got something. The Democrats have got a lot of problems, but that we shouldn't gloss over the fact that the Republicans are still they still face their own challenges for which they create. And so there's opportunities in 2026 to strengthen their majority in Congress, and that's still a little bit up in the air as to whether or not they'll do that or not, because midterm elections are traditionally not good for the
except George W. Bush. Remember, we picked up seats in 2002 when George W. Bush was president.
Well, the aftermath of 9/11 helped them in terms of a rally.
Yeah, but Dave, if you go back, by the time 2002 rolled around, Tom Dasher was calling Dick Cheney and President Bush Hitler reincarnated again. Nazis, fascists. They went back to their playbook, and we still won.
But my concern coming up on 2026 is just that with all the by the time we get to the election next year, it's very possible that we will still we'll still be stuck under higher inflation because of tariffs, people pulling back, and where people are going to look at their pocketbook and their or checking account and they're going to say, Republicans really didn't do anything for me. I may give the other guy a chance.
Mhm.
Republicans have had these opportunities to seal the deal, something that they could have a long string of control and really, just punch the Democrats into oblivion. And yet the door is open. And so I think the door continues to open a little bit more because the Republicans just can't seem to slam the door shut on them.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, Don, Jacob wrote an article this week on the circus coming back to town, as in the two-ring circus on Capitol Hill. He made some good points, and I think the most important point is point number 5, where he says, polls are shaky. 29% support the big beautiful bill, while 55% oppose it. And naturally, the Democrats are already, running around, with sandwich boards proclaiming, doom Republicans. I think we need to do a better job marketing that big beautiful bill, because it actually is a tax cut. We've got rid of taxes on Social Security. We got no more tax over overtime and tips and so on. Those are good meat and potato issues that should resonate with the voters, frankly. For one hand, I wish we could have added something like corporate, bonus checks should also be tax-free, as should dividends. Should also be tax-free, I think. But we didn't get that this year. Maybe next year we'll get that.
But I don't know how you pay for all that. I mean, you're not going to take in enough on.
Well, I tell you, the tariffs are actually bring. I mean, we're seeing the tariffs, but we can't run a country on tariffs, frankly.
No. They just had an appeals court that just knocked down a bunch of the tariffs. Now this means that probably the administration may take this to the Supreme Court, but that I think there's a risk there as to whether or not the court would rule in Trump's favor about his, about broad authority to, under these emergency powers that he's using to implement all these tariffs. And he's used those tariffs as kind of a little bit of leverage, as kind of a bludgeon, to kind of a little tool there to get countries in line. If he loses that if they get to the Supreme Court and he loses that, then it's a whole new ball game there. But we're seeing more companies saying we can't hold the line on prices anymore, and so prices are going to continue to go up, and so that'll affect everybody, and so then then the administration doesn't have any room to hide. We can't get inflation down right now because now that the tariffs are out there and they're keeping pressure on prices. So we're still hovering at that 2.9% level, excluding in the core, and we're having a very hard time pushing that figure lower because the tariffs have just increased our costs so much.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? 100% tariffs on India took effect this week. Or was it 50%?
My wife she watches a lot of YouTube, Victor Davis Hanson, all kinds of things, right? But as when they feed you one thing, they feed you a bunch of other things, kind of in the like-minded sphere, and stuff like that. And I think there's a bunch of videos on tariffs and saying about this, that, and the other. The tariffs go into effect. You can watch for the prices to increase. So nuts. She wants me to go to Costco tomorrow on my way home from the gym to pick up more frozen Kirkland meatballs. Before she thinks they're going to go up anymore. They've already gone up a lot in the last few years. I mean, the pandemic just changed everything to begin with.
Yeah.
But we haven't been able to push prices back since the pandemic. They keep going up.
These are still $5 a pack.
Yeah. Well, I have different things to use as a barometer for, how inflation is going. I mean, one of the problems is that cocoa prices continue to shoot through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the cheapest candy you can get are those kind of the fun size bars, mixed ones at Costco.
But they shrunk the fun size bars from even smaller. Are they really even fun anymore?
I don't know.
I mean,
Less
granted,
fun,
I have not had
mini
candy.
fun. I don't
I have
know.
not had candy in the year 2025. So,
But
and I've
they,
got a bunch of candy in the refrigerator. Actually, the freezer downstairs, I got a whole bunch of candy still there.
yeah, I mean, last fall that bag of 200 pieces or whatever it was, 180 pieces, was something in the neighborhood of about $19 or $20.
Now it's going to be 34.
Well, it hasn't gone up that much, but they just put a bunch out the other day, and it's now 23.69 and going up. So we've already seen, that's almost a 20% increase
Yeah.
in less than a year, for that. I mean, Halloween is going to get expensive. I know how much you love your full size bars.
Yes,
But
I do.
it's pretty shocking now. When I looked at the price the other day at Costco, they are having a sale this week or whatever, but they're now basically $1 a bar at Costco in the bulk pack. You can get them
By the way,
25%
Don,
off
last year
right
I
now.
bought 6 packs and I only gave one out. So I still have in the freezer 5 packs of the king size. So rest assured, I will have full size bars next.
So
Halloween.
I haven't gone to I haven't checked the price at say Walmart or whatever, but if you're buying a bulk pack of 30 of those or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're costing you $1, that's got to mean if you go to Walmart, that candy must be pushing $1.50 per bar individually.
No, I tell you, it's almost $2. Let me tell you, this soda, right? I bought this in a 6 pack, so it's a little bit smaller. But if you buy the larger one, which might be 20 ounces, this is 16. I think the one you buy is 20. Those are over $2. Over $2. I mean, I had a friend that used one of the vending machines at NASA to buy a bag of chips, $2.69 because of lovely Westmore's vending machine tax.
It's hard for my wife and I sometimes when we go to a store, even a Costco or a Sam's or whatever, and we see stuff and we're like, it's now 20 or 30% more than it used to be a few years ago.
And it's only been 5 years. It's not like it's not like I'm not comparing to like when I was a kid. You could buy 10 Hershey bars, the large ones, for about $1 at People's, because there was no CVS back then. It was over at People's drugstore.
Oh, those I know. I remember. Look, my mom loved those things, and we used to buy tons of that stuff.
You could buy those. You could buy, and the Hershey products were always a little bit more expensive. You get more if you bought the M&M Mars. Those were a little bit cheaper by I think they might have. I think you get 10 for $1. I think you got like 15 for $1 or something like that if you bought the other. And they were a lot larger than they are today. Remember Remember those big block Hershey bars that were like this thick? And now they still have them, but they're like half the size. I remember Hershey's used to do a commercial where saying, they'd stack up like 3 of the crack bars, or what was the Nestle version of it was like a Hershey bar, but they had little rice cream. Was it crack or whatever? What do they call it? No, that was Hershey. Crackle was Hershey.
Crackle's Hershey.
Nestle had one. I think it was called the Crack Bar.
It's crack. Wow.
I don't know. Oh, Crunch, not Crack, Crunch.
Nestle Crunch, yeah.
And they would stack like 3 of the. He goes, you'd have to buy 3 of these for one of the. And it was basically the Crackle king size big block bars.
I know. I mean, you used to be able to get those big bars, right? They were like this, and they'd be like $1, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You got to pay that much or more now for the small candy bar. It's crazy. It's just nuts.
The Hershey bars that were about this size, and it was wrapped in aluminum foil. And by the way, it was so much better when it was wrapped in aluminum foil, frankly. Now it's just in paper. But I could buy those for $1 each on sale.
Yeah. those days are gone.
Yes. Yeah, like Bruce
unless we get
Springsteen's
some miraculous, downturn in the price of cocoa, and until things improved in the cocoa market.
Well,
It's just
why are we still dependent on cocoa coming from West Africa? Why can't we grow cocoa in Mexico or in this hemisphere? Why are we reliant on West African cocoa, frankly?
I don't know.
Just saying.
Soil conditions. I don't know what it is about that, but
I mean, look, remember when we were kids? I don't know, Dave, do you remember when pistachios were all painted red?
Not really. No.
oh yeah, the like the
Your
reddish
hands would
shell.
get red. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that was because they were coming from Persia, Iran,
Huh.
Okay.
And then we started growing pistachios in California. That's why you don't even see those red ones anymore, because they're all California pistachios.
Yeah, probably grown by Iranian immigrants into California.
Yeah,
It's
it could be.
possible. Persian. A lot of those people that immigrated don't call themselves Iranians. They call themselves Persian.
That's right, Persian. And that's why the joke is L.A. is lost. What is it? Lost Tarantulas after Tehran. So yeah, it's a lot of them came in.
Yeah.
Tehrangelis. That's right, Tehran.
Tarantulus. Okay,
That's right.
interesting.
Although it's more New Mexico City
Hmm.
or New El Salvador, whatever. But
Can we talk about one more topic before we
yes.
get to the end here? Can we talk about Cracker Barrel?
Yes. By the way, I want to say, first of all, Cracker Barrel is a corporation that has shares. They're on the market, right? And if they want to make a stupid decision, I don't know why everyone is getting so worked up about it's basically the new design style. Violet, that's what that was. It really wasn't anything about getting rid of Uncle Herschel or anything like that. But I'm glad they decided to go bring Uncle Herschel back.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it may have had DEI may have had a little bit to play in it, but it was more of this new boring design trends. I mean, this whole flat design trends I'm not too happy with the new design trends right now. And we just did some design work and the ugliest design we offered them is the one they picked. And I'm like, I hope they don't. I go, because I wanted to show them, hey, this is what a really good design looks like, and this is what a really bad. No, but they took the bad one. It's just people reading.
I equate this a little bit with when Coca-Cola,
New
reformulated Coke. I mean, things that were just some horrendous mistakes by corporate America on trying to make a different product. Cracker Barrel spent an estimated $700 million on this, only to go back to the original design. And they were saying we always listen to our customers, and so that's why we're doing this. Is like, if you'd really done your homework, you never would have touched this to begin with. You would have understood that your customers like things the way they were. They've made menu changes. I think they were changing the store within the Cracker Barrel. I mean, I understand some of the things that they were trying to do, because I think Cracker Barrel sales have been dropping for a number of years. So they were trying to find a way to juice the sales.
Making it look like a Panera is not what's going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, Cracker Barrel's Southern comfort food in essence.
Yeah. Well, the first time I went to a Cracker Barrel was a few years ago, over at the one in Hanover by the airport.
Well, a lot of it is a question. It's a fine line between, is it wokeness and political correctness, or is it just sort of marketing and trying to expand your market? Also, the third part is sometimes people come in, new CEOs, and they just want to change things. Even if what they've already got is working, people just have this desire to make changes. So I don't know if it's totally wokeness, if that's it, or if there's the other two factors I mentioned. I don't know, but I go to a Cracker Barrel in Manassas off 66, and there's a picture of George Washington in there. If I go in there and the Washington picture is gone, then it's wokeness. But if the Washington picture remains, then maybe it isn't wokeness.
Hey, but is the Inns at what is it? The Inns at Little Washington, the George Washington Inn, or what was that fancy restaurant in Virginia called?
Yeah.
Well, does it still have the name? Are they still around?
I think they're still around. It's expensive. From what I've been
Mhm.
told, I've never eaten there.
By the way, I mean, nobody, here's the funniest thing is Verizon, Exxon, NASA, they all changed their logos. There was never any this kind of outcry. And I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that it all happened before social media, frankly.
Yeah, but
Uh,
also, but with Cracker Barrel, that's sort of a conservative sort of place, and the conservative folks are a little different than say a Verizon customer or a
yeah, but I mean, look at this. Okay,
AT&T.
this is the NASA logo that was around, and this was like their. Then they went to this.
Yeah,
And what was funny is the reason they didn't like this, they said this was called the worm logo. But then when they did this, they called this the meatball. And then you have, by the way, Exxon is still SO oil all over the world.
yeah. In Canada, it's Esso. It
Yeah.
used to be Esso here when we were little kids, I think.
Right. It was.
Yep. I mean, they went from this. And by the way, it's funny, when I was over in Europe, all the gas stations there have, but it's not this logo. This looks just like the Exxon logo, but it says Esso. I don't like. But I mean, Datsun. Remember Datsun, Don?
Yeah,
They're now Nissan, or actually, I think they. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were actually Nissan. Nissan was Nissan all over the world. It was just Datsun in America, I think, right? Or was it
I
vice
didn't
versa?
know that. I didn't know.
That's probably true, I think.
Whatever
Like,
happened? Whatever happened to Chrysler? Chrysler's still around. They had a cool logo.
they make one product.
They're now Stellantis.
Yeah.
Okay, Stellantis.
But Chrysler makes one product now, a minivan. That's all they make. They don't make.
Oh, wow.
And I tell you, and as a car guy, I'm saying I'm a little outraged by that. Chrysler used to make the Imperial, which is a beautiful car.
Yeah.
They had a convertible. Mad Men used one of the guys on Mad Men had a Chrysler Imperial. Beautiful car. You have. Mhm. Go ahead.
I saw, and not to wait. I mean, I know we're probably out of time, but we can take it out of your or Don's final thoughts. But I saw online. I like the Mercury Grand Marquis. It just seems like an old Great American look. And I saw one 2007, 67,000 miles on it for like $8,000.
Yeah, those prices have gone up on those cars. You used to be able to get those for 1,000. Our friend AJ Cook bought one for $1,000.
Really?
Do you know anyone that works with the law enforcement in Fairfax? You can probably find a police car
Okay.
that you can buy a decommissioned police car.
Wow. Well, are those Grand Marquis? I thought they were Ford Crown Vics.
Same car.
Really?
Exact same chassis. It's the same chassis they have with the F-150s. The Lincoln Town car was also on that same chassis platform. It's the exact same car.
Well,
It's like
I like the look, and people laugh at me because of that because they think it's so old, the old man sort of car. But I think they're nice looking. So,
I mean, you're around 53 years old, right?
yeah.
So you can say you're old, But anyways, okay. Final thoughts.
I think that is considered old. I hate to say it. I think I probably am considered old. But,
not really. 50 is like the new 20.
I think so too. Yeah.
I'm gonna wait to get to be my age.
So that would be 30, wouldn't it? The new 30. But
Oh, he's probably a lot happier now.
Yeah. But one last thing on Cracker Barrel. I do like their food. I think their pancakes are better than IHOP. Not as good as OHOW, Original House of Pancakes. OHOP actually is what it is, yeah. It's funny. There used to be an Indian association for Hindus, right? They do service and stuff like that. And their acronym was IHOW. And I lobbied them so hard to change the worship to prayer so they could be IHOP. But anyways, my thoughts are, I like the pancakes at Cracker Barrel. They got a good food option. Also, I like their little general store up front too because they sell Hydrox cookies there.
Yeah, it was
Well,
very,
I
it's, also,
agree.
it's very kitschy. It's
Yeah,
just
it's very good. Yeah, that was really smart. And Bob Evans, and I get a Bob Evans as well.
They
Bob
used to have a
Evans,
store like that too.
yes, that's the thing. Now, Bob Evans was first, but they didn't expand the store. They didn't make a big deal of the store part of it. Cracker Barrel did, and it was a brilliant move on Cracker Barrel's part. This way, when you're waiting, you can shop.
yeah, yeah. You got to basically go through the store to get to
Yes.
the restaurant.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's a brilliant move.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
very
And,
very
smart.
smart.
and they have like really interesting stuff in there. I was kind of impressed by what I saw there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good deal. Yeah, I like Cracker Barrel, so hopefully they'll come back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a new one opening up in Annapolis. They got the skeleton up. And by the way, I'm not too mad that they got rid of the picnic tables and putting in booths. I like booths. What's wrong with booths? What's wrong with nice tables and chairs? And tablecloths. What's wrong with tablecloths? Although no, I don't. I don't think I've seen a tablecloth at any restaurant in a long time.
And it just depends on where you go.
Well, I mean the fancier restaurants, but I mean, remember not TJ, Pizza Hut used to have the checkerboard tablecloths. I think Fridays had one. Romano's Macaroni Grill, Olive Gardens, they all used to do tablecloths also, but no. But I think Mama Lucia's you go there in the evenings, they put tablecloths on their tables.
Yeah, I mean, it's one more thing to clean.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Plus, in any restaurant when they just wipe the stuff off, it's like, how clean is that really? How many times have they used that cloth to clean a table?
Well, Romano's Macaroni Grill used to have a paper, like a butcher paper tablecloth.
Yeah.
So they would just take it off, and there'd be a brand new piece of butcher paper underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
That's
you
what
spilled
the
something
houses
on
would
it.
do and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, unless you spilled something on it.
Yeah.
But anyways, final thoughts. So Dave, go.
Well, I got 3 columns up this week, so I was happy about that. I like to try to do 3 a week, so I was able to do it. I got another paid subscriber on my Substack. I was happy about that. But yeah, check it out. And then if you do, you can get, I think I got my thing here. I'll flash it. My Substack, on my Substack account, you can also see my blog, podcast. So my podcast is up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil Hamilton, former delegate from Newport News, is doing it with me. So we've done it a good bit. So, that's I guess about it. So hopefully I'll crank out some more this week. And I guess the one last thought I have though is, I don't know if you saw this, but in Trump's little spat with Moore, Governor West Tax Moore.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about the bridge and funding of the bridge, and Trump, I guess, is threatening not to, to try to cut off some of the funding for the rebuilding of the bridge.
But he's never going to win Maryland anyway, so I guess it's okay if you're going to cut off funding on the bridge.
Well, and the thought is, Sean Duffy had mentioned, the thought is that I guess there's still a question about Maryland's chipping in. Will it be all paid by the feds? But I don't know. But anyway.
Well, according to our illustrious U.S. Senator, Chris, I love domestic terrorist Van Hollen. Yeah. Seems like it's going to be federal taxpayer funded, not.
Well, by the way, and then you mentioned Van Hollen, our senator now, our horrible senator Mark Warner, also met with Garcia Abrego. I heard that today. So he's following the footsteps of Van Hollen. So
he doesn't want to have a left-wing challenger.
I guess. I just think that's bizarre. I do. I mean, I just I don't know why you'd want to meet with the guy who, accused of beating his wife, accused of sex trafficking here illegally, or human trafficking.
He's back in ICE custody, which is great.
Yeah. So it's just weird. But anyway, that's about it. And back to you.
Okay, Don.
Yeah, I want to give thumbs up, I guess, to Microsoft, though they probably could do a better job about this. Is that they've had a bunch of protesters take over President Brad Smith's office as they protested Microsoft's work with Israel on and they're carrying Palestinian flags and the
Oh,
whole
they were
nine.
protesting not about the new outlook that sucks. They weren't protesting that. I mean, come on, please. If you're really gonna, if you're mad at Microsoft, you should be mad about what they did to the Outlook. Have you seen how bad Outlook is? The new Outlook, it's horrible. And I'm a Microsoft guy. I love SharePoint. I love SharePoint Online. But yeah, so there it was about Israel, not about how bad
It was
Outlook.
about Israel, but I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I wish they would be a little more forceful, but at least they started firing some of the workers that were involved. Maybe there'll be more heads to roll because this is where corporate America needs to take a stand. They shouldn't put up with their workers if they disagree with a policy. What is this? Is this a college campus all over again?
Yeah.
Where you just go ahead and you take over the president's office thinking that you're going to get something? You guys are paid by these people to do your work. You're not supposed to be getting paid to go so that you can go and protest the fact that your company does business with Israel. Hey, if you don't like it, quit. Go to work for someone else, for heaven's sakes. So that's just, I think that's just crazy what they're doing there. And then we've seen a couple of things here on the election front where it was, it looks like Joni Ernst won't run again in 2026, which may make it interesting for the numbers game for Republicans in 2026.
Well, we should win that Senate seat. I mean,
we should.
Perhaps Fred Grady might want to move back to Iowa.
With Republicans, that's the problem.
I know.
All it takes is one bad candidate, and everything starts to fall apart.
I'm looking at Indiana when you say bad candidates, or looking at Clayton Williams in Texas when he ran against Ann Richards.
Well, yeah, look,
or Herschel Walker and Dr. Oz.
Yeah, we've had some terrible candidates. It just we have to do better, right? I mean, we've seen it in Nevada. We like you said, Texas. We had Indiana,
Connecticut,
Missouri,
Delaware.
I mean, we just had so many of these things where we should have picked up those. We should have had seats or won races, and we lost them by putting up the bad candidate. So that could easily happen because Republicans can't seem to quite figure that out all the time about doing that. So hopefully that'll work out and we'll be able to maintain that seat. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like the governor of Alaska wants to primary Lisa Murkowski in 2028. No love lost for Lisa Murkowski. Governor, I mean, I think the governor's got a pretty decent shot at doing this, and I think he could probably win that seat.
Hey, whatever happened to Bill Lee? Remember Bill Lee primaried her, and there was a write-in campaign, and she won on the write-in campaign.
Bill Lee.
Bill Lee, years ago, he primaried Lisa Murkowski. And he beat her in the primary, and she had a write-in campaign.
No,
she won.
It wasn't, the guy's name wasn't Bill Lee. It was something else. It was Joe. Wasn't it Joe something or other? Or Mike?
I don't know. Susan, you might know who we're talking about.
Well, maybe Sarah Palin will come back.
Sarah, actually, we thought, because she now lives in Arizona.
Oh, does she? Okay.
We were thinking she would have run for John McCain's Senate seat at one point.
Well, how ironic that would be.
And John McCain couldn't campaign against her because she was his running mate.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? The decision I made for my VP, she's not good enough. She's good enough to be my VP, but not a senator for Arizona.
Yeah.
It's Joe Miller.
Joe Miller. Oh, there you go.
That is it.
I knew it was a Joe.
You said Bill Lee. Come on. I said Joe.
Joe Lee? Oh, you said Joe? Okay.
Bill Lee was an old pitcher for the Red Sox.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that Bill Lee. All right. Enough of that. Back to you, Dwight.
All right. Final thoughts for me. A couple things. One, the Maryland State Fair is going on this week. If you haven't gone, it's only there for a couple more weekends. And I don't know why we're doing this, but the State Fair now runs Friday, Saturday, Sundays through the month of September, opposed to 3 weeks in the month of September. It's not like we're letting other people use the fairgrounds during the week, and then all the rides and everything is there every day. They're still taking up space. Why, Maryland? And you were making money off that because you were charging the people that were doing the vendors and stuff like that. It's not like you were losing money. for crying out loud. But the state fair is going on, so this is the second weekend for it. There's a few more weekends left. Go out there.
Now,
No, it's in Timonium actually.
Timonium. Oh, Timonium
The
Fairground.
fairground. Yeah. The town that's just a zip code. It's not a real town. It's just a bunch of car dealerships, as Ian would call it, because Ian's from Timonium.
It's like Ralph John, Maryland. There was never such a place.
Well, that sounds better than Landover.
Do you think so? Do you like?
Yes.
I thought Ralph John sounds horrible.
Yeah. You know what? Well,
Ralph John. You're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I know Ralph John.
well, but here's the thing.
We'll call him just John Boy.
You know, here's the thing. FedEx Field was paid for by, I disagree with Jack Kent Cooke politically, but he paid for that stadium.
Oh yeah.
And he, in the state of Maryland, did the interchange, put in the roads and so on, which is fine. That's fair. And by the way, FedEx Field is a lot newer than Camden Yards. I don't see the Orioles wanting a new ballpark. But the Redskins, they want a new ballpark. Now they're going back to D.C. because Wes Moore just rolled over and said, oh, go to D.C., go back to D.C., It's like, who in their right mind gives up a sports franchise? And I mean, the stadium was built by Jack Kent Cooke, frankly.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think they just finished some major renovations recently. It's like, what do you need a new stadium? You don't need a new stadium. It's just I mean, you saw the Capitals do that, so they got free. They got a free renovation of the Capital One Arena, which also is not that old either. It's Camden Yards is older than Capital One Arena too. But I mean, there is something to be said about why do the Dolphins, their owner paid for their new stadium.
So Robbie, yeah.
Yeah. And there's, it is what it is. But I mean, honest to God, why are we propping up these NFL franchises that are worth billions of dollars?
Well, I mean, why are taxpayers funding any kind of sports stadium to begin with? Any major sports. Those owners have money. They're taking the subsidy because the states keep dangling them in front of them to locate there and stuff like that. But if a truly free market would just have them go wherever, though the ownership would have to vote on allowing them to go. So much for that part of the free market. But the taxpayers shouldn't have to be footing that bill at all. The owner should control that, because they are the ones they reap the largest benefit. The cities get tax revenue, but the owners make even more.
Just like this, right? Camden Yards was named Oriole Park at Camden Yards.
Yeah.
Every time there's a venue, the Orioles get a clip of that because it has Orioles Park on the tickets when they're sold. Bill Shepard brought that up when he ran for governor in 1990. If they just called it Camden Yards,
no relation.
What's that? Yeah.
No relationships.
He now lives in Easton and writes mystery novels.
Oh wow! Okay.
His wife was his
getting
running
up there in years, though. It's been a long time.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, but his wife Lois was his running mate in 1990.
What is that?
And buddy, this tells you how bad William Donald Schaefer's popularities were. He got, I want to say, around about 39% of the vote. He did better than Dan Cox did.
Yeah, can we please just forget about Dan Cox?
By the way, Susan, I am familiar with Aunt Sarah's Pancake House. Funny story. We actually at one point owned that hotel that was right there with Aunt Sarah's hotel there for a while. It's right off of 95. I think it's past around Fredericksburg. But yeah, I think Aunt Sarah's Pancake House is still there. I think the hotel used to be a Comfort, is now called something else. But anyways, and what else? And check out the club's Substack, Directline News .substack.com. New articles every single day, fun stuff. Check out, we've got some great articles, including Governor Moore and his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad week that he had last week. It's great. Talks about how taxpayers funded his sushi run to Tokyo, governor's mansion renovations, and all sorts of other spending binges. Westmore's been going on while we're sitting in a deficit here in Maryland. And if it's not even bad enough, there's talk right now. They want to raise the sales tax. Don, they only want to raise it 1 penny on every dollar.
All right, Robin Ficker, we need you.
Yeah, 7% sales tax is what they want to do. But they go, oh, it's only a penny. It's not a penny.
We are becoming California.
Yes, we are. Or is California becoming Maryland? Yeah, didn't you think you Californians would see that, right?
Take your pick.
Yeah. Moronomics. Yes, I like that. I think I should get a bumper sticker that does that. Do that. Anyways, that's all I have. Hey, Ellen. Yes. On September 11th, Ellen. Thank you, Craig. September 11th, Ellen Sauerbrey is speaking at the Montgomery County Republican Club meeting. We're doing Pizza and Politics on the 11th just because Ellen can't make it this week, and we'll do everything to support our former governor. And also, it's Ellen's birthday is on the 9th. We're gonna have a little party for her there too. So come on out, say happy birthday to Ellen. So see everyone there next week. And that's all I have. And Direct Line starts up again next week. Our new season of Direct Line. Check that out Wednesday. We're gonna have a fabulous guest. And that's all I have. And that's it. You guys have any other final thoughts?
No.
Well, good night, everyone. We'll see everyone next Friday. Good night.
Good night.
Let's go down to Masoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down